Reinvention is simply constantly learning more about yourself. So recently, I as you can see, a new change. I cut my hair. I cut my dreads, and excuse me if I'm moving my head around a lot. I got a new laptop and when I'm recording, it's mirrored. So it's kind of weird. I move my head in one direction, it goes the opposite way, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, I recently cut my dreads. I've been growing my hair for about maybe since 2021, and I just cut them a couple days ago. And for me, this was a monumental moment for me. I was getting tired of my hair. I didn't like it. It was more of a distraction, and I just wanted something different, right? And by doing this, it allowed me to take a step forward in becoming the person I want to be and really shifting away from living in the image or trying to be like others and trying to be like myself. I'll say the reason I got dreads or I grew out my hair in the first place is because I wanted to look cool. There's this guy on Instagram, like he was insanely good with his dreads, and I wanted that. I wanted to look cool and maybe I would get attract something in my life. And for a period, it did look good, and I did attract females, males in my life. But it didn't feel right. I wasn't doing it because I wanted to do it. I was doing it because I wanted to be like someone else. And so often we get caught up in trying to be like someone, right? And we get intimidated. And this is because of social media. We see how someone else is living. And we see how they're doing and how amazing they look, and we're like, oh, let me try to copy them and be like them, and maybe I will get the success or the looks that they have. But you have to realize that in copying other people, that's not naturally you. They got that way by doing what they wanted to do and how it best fit them. And now you're trying to mimic that by copying off of them and trying to live vicariously almost through what they did. You're basically trying to be like them when you're not. You should be yourself. Any decision you make, whether that be for your family, yourself, your kids, etc., you should, every decision you should make should be in favor of yourself. It shouldn't be in favor of trying to be like someone else, to please someone else, or to talk, or to, I want to say influence people, but oftentimes persuasion is like a way of getting power over people, yada yada. 48 rules of power week. That's another conversation for another day, right? But you should not make decisions based on the interpretation of other people or how you feel trying to be like someone else. Essentially, try to be yourself. And we live in a time where social media plagues us. Every single day we see someone doing new things. We see someone getting an internship. We see someone getting a job. We see someone doing things that, oh wow, like they're doing these extraordinary things, right? And we we oftentimes shoot ourselves in the foot because in our mind, once we see that, we're like, wow, I'm behind. Like that person got an internship at Goldman Sachs, and what am I doing just sitting around? I don't have anything, right? And then you start to create these narratives about yourself, and you feel sorry, and ultimately it leads to sadness, or in the worst case scenario, depression. And I used to suffer from this. Well, not exactly through like the Goldman Sachs example, but throughout high school and middle school, I'd see all my friends, they're doing all these great things. They're like, getting these offers. They're more in tune with their teacher. I don't know, they just did more than me. Like in high school, like I had friends who already had jobs, got their driver's license, and they were like going after goal, doing this. I was like, wow, like what am I doing? And at the time, I liked to stay in my comfort zone. I didn't want to get out and do things. And when I saw my friends doing this, sometimes they would come, oh, Tariq, you don't have this, you don't have that, but it's fine. But deep down in my mind, I was like, is it really fine? But essentially, everyone's on their own path. My mistake was thinking that just because they're doing it, I have to do it. And I became anxious and I didn't respect myself to them. I have the secret. I never really told anyone until one of my close friends. Throughout high school, I thought I was like completely dumb. I thought I was not smart. I thought I was bashing myself. I didn't respect myself relative to my peers. I always put them on a higher pedestal than me because they had life skills. They had a they had a two-parent household. They were smarter than me. I thought they were smarter than me. What I still do, I still think that, but not to the extent of at which we're in high school. They're doing this, they're doing that, they have that, they have this. My friend, she got accepted into Questbridge. I didn't. It's like, but one thing I realized is that everyone's on their own path, and you mustn't catch yourself comparing yourself to others, and where comparing yourself to others in their life. Yeah, you may be the same age, but just because that they're achieving this at this age doesn't mean that it will never happen to you or that you're behind. That just means that this is like, I saw this on the internet. This is like chapter 3 of their book, and you're on chapter 1. My mistake was thinking that everyone's on the same chapter. I was on the same chapter as everyone else, and if I was not keeping up, that I'm a failure. I'm this, I'm XYZ, and they're doing ABC, and I can't catch up, right? But slowly, after thinking and reading, you realize that, as I said before, everyone's on their own path. And it goes back to my last video. Comparison or comparing yourself to others is robbing you of the opportunities. So respect yourself, you know, um, respect yourself, reinvent yourself. And wow, I think I lost the topic of this video. I went on a tangent, but that's what I was feeling tonight. Talking about that, let me go through my notes. Yeah, reinvention is simply constantly learning about yourself, more about yourself. So I'll head back to that, by me cutting my dreads. I That was a willingness decision. I felt it was time, and it was a gut instinct, and I therefore went through it. Whether or not people like it or don't like it, I don't care. I can't control how they think. What matters is how I think of myself at the end of the day. And the only person that you should respect, or the only person you try to make proud of, or you should try to prove anything to is yourself, not anyone else. Everyone else has their own standards and their distractions in the wind. You must stay on foot and try to achieve your goals, proving to yourself. And this goes back, I deleted social media around 2 months ago, or specifically Instagram. I just recently went back on it, changed my profile picture and bio, and I put in the bio, what is it? Holistically selfishness. Be holistically selfish. Do things in the interest of you so you can be better in the presence of others, right? And learn to be selfish. I wasn't really selfish growing up. I was more of a people pleaser. That's for another video. But I learned now to be selfish, and being selfish, reinventing yourself, finding what you want to do without any of that outside noise, you will realize things that you never knew you could do or never knew you could think of. And I think this type of thinking now, this model framework to Naval Ravikant, you know, that's where I got the quote from, holistically selfishness. So thanks to him, I'm developing a new mental framework of how to think. And yeah, man, that's it. Tariq Dyke, enjoy your night.